Strap yourself in, woodwork prohibited, not available in the state of shock.
Hi, I'm Dan Schinder. Thanks for joining us here on Drum Talk TV, where I have two great drummers from Blue Man Group here in Las Vegas. And I have Vince Verderame, and I have Jeff Tortora.
Hello.
And I have to tell you guys, I came and saw the show for the very first time in person the other night. As you know, I met you. Yeah. And I had seen a DVD about 5 or 7 years ago, something like that. And I think it was long enough ago to sort of forget like any details. I remember how awesome it was, the impact it had on me. But what a lot of people don't know, if you've never seen a Blue Man Group show, well, if you've never heard of Blue Man Group, put yourself in a 10-minute timeout and put your head down. But if you've never seen a show, you might not understand that it's more than just these three blue gentlemen. They got this whole band, and the instrumentation was killer. I mean, you got both of you on drums. If I remember right, there was another percussionist, someone on guitar, and was there someone else in your section with a stick? Is that what they're playing? It was hard to see that.
A stick and a zither.
A zither, yeah. What's up with the instrumentation? Who comes up with that, or is that part of what's written into the whole show, basically?
It's kind of evolved over the years. The original show was just a kit player, Chapman stick, and zither. And they were just looking to take in, sounds that we are familiar with, rock sounds, and it was this urban tribal sound, and kind of flip them upside down and recreate them in a different way. Right. And when you play a different instrument like a zither, even though it's got strings like a guitar, it's laid out so differently that you're going to play different music.
Right, like a stick. I mean, a stick has the fat strings, and it's 10 strings with the fat strings in the middle. What's up with that? How do you orientate yourself to that after playing bass or guitar for so many years?
Yeah, and then Blue Man plays it in such an unconventional way.
Right.
A piano string, bow it like
Is that what I heard? Okay.
And so it's one of those things that it's almost worse if you know how to play the instrument ahead of time.
Right.
Really, like they kind of want people who are willing to walk in with a clean slate and approach the music, even just forgetting whatever the influences are that created it, just look at it as its own artistic experience and just honor that.
It helps to give it its proprietary place in Blue Man Group's presentation of the music. That's smart. I'm glad you brought up the genres, Vince, because I wanted to ask you both. While I was watching the show, and I find myself doing this sometimes when I watch movies, is I listen to the soundtrack and I say, man, what kind of music is this? What kind of music is it? How would you describe? Because it's more than just drums. It's more than just percussion. You got those other band members playing, melodic parts and everything. How would you sum up the music?
You want to give it a shot?
Well, I mean, it's...
Wait, I said there'd be no trick question.
Yeah. It's not a trick question.
It's not. It's just it's hard to define
classify.
It's a perpetual question about the entire show, how to classify it. Because there's really no way to classify it. It's still, people walk out of just the show in general and go, I don't know what I just saw, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
And they try to tell their friends to go see it, and they still don't know how to see it. And we've been doing this for a while. I mean, the show's been around for quite a bit, and it doesn't change. That aspect of it change. And I think from a musical standpoint, it still has that same thing. It just exists in its own little world.
And what's neat is that there's so many elements that, like when the three of us, my wife, my son, and I left the theater, we asked each other, what was your favorite part? And it touched each of our different sensibilities completely. Like some people are going to be really into the music. Some people are really going to be into the comedy and the Blue Men themselves. Some people are really going to just be blown away by the multimedia presentation, which is absolutely incredible. I mean, I've been seeing some of the leaders in that sort of presentation in the rock world for years. Genesis, who pioneered it, and Pink Floyd, and and Rush, who do all that. I've been seeing shows live since 1977. This was absolutely one of the best musical and multimedia presentations I've ever seen in my life.
Nice, man.
And I've played in hundreds of shows around the U.S. and Canada myself, and almost nothing touches this. It was incredible. It really was. How do you concentrate on what the heck you're supposed to play with such a great show going on? How do you not sort of get sucked in and lost? And how do you keep from laughing? And how do they keep from laughing? I mean, are you just so used to it, or?
Well, there's a part we've been doing it, a really long time, and you got thousands of shows under your belt, so it becomes, somewhat second nature.
Right.
But then you just get used to tuning in to each other and tune in. Yeah, because you got to pay attention to what the Blue Men are doing. You watch them. You know, it's live interaction with them in the audience, and then with each other. We got to, you know. Most of us have been playing a lot.
I interviewed a gentleman by the name of Greg Warner once who played, you guys are probably too young, but he played on a show called Solid Gold, which was one of the first music variety shows
I remember
years
watching
ago.
it. I was like,
okay, so he was that guy playing the drums. Well, he talked about when he was an adolescent, he literally ran away and joined the circus. And he played drums, and he said that was the best drum training because he had to watch the action in 3 rings and watch the conductor. And when a clown kicked another clown in the butt, he had to do a crash and catch the juggle catch. And you guys are kind of doing some of that same stuff while you're following the structure of the music as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean the show has vaudeville roots to it, so in that respect, that's one of the hardest things for any guy who comes to the show, or any girl who comes to the show, as an instrumentalist to assimilate to this, because we're expecting a certain rock attitude, a certain drive, and as a drummer, you know, you're used to like, I'm laying the beat down.
Right.
This is where the time is. That's how you get gigs, right? Nobody wants to hire a drummer with bad time, right? But then you're playing this show, and then you have to actually factor in the Blue Man, which sometimes he's doing something that actually means we have to rush.
Yeah.
More in a theatrical way, but most of us who come from a rock background, we never even participate in that. That's just like, that's a good way to get fired.
Yeah.
Whereas here, you've got to thread that gap between when you're laying down a groove and then when you're going to follow them and then make that groove.
Now, you may have just answered my next question, but Jeff and Vince, both of you, please feel free to, add to this. I was going to ask, what is the main key for being a successful percussionist and drummer as part of the Blue Man Group? Is it indeed that? The intuitiveness, the attentiveness to be able to follow the structure of the piece of music and follow what's going on stage? Or is there even more?
Well, I mean, flexibility. Yeah, you got to be, open. I mean, you could have there's room in the show to have your own flavor, a little interpretation ideas, but there is the aesthetic of the show that, there are specific parts and a certain way things are done, but also you do have some freedom, but you have 3 or 2 other drummers to play along with. You might do something that's, wow, this is really great, and it's like, no, it's not. I mean, it's great on its own, but with 2 other guys doing, but then the string guys and the Blue Men too, and then you got to kind of try to. So there's just the playing solid as is with other drummers. Most people aren't used to that, and then there's like watching with the audience and the Blue Man, the interactions, making that exciting, but still keeping everyone together. And so there's this intense drive you have to have with it, but also at the same time keeping it together and watch, Then there's the video stuff, there's all sorts of stuff going on. So just you have to be, I said flexibility is good, and just keep you have realize there's other people.
Yeah, you have to ride that line between boundaries and a certain amount of liberties that you're able to take, but without, like you said, letting it just run away.
And there's visual too, because so we're in kind of different outfits and stuff, and so you want to. It's a visual appealing show too, so you got to keep that in mind. Can't just be.
And there's a certain level to the show on stage that there's an improvisational acting exercise. It calls it yes and. So everyth's yes and. So if somebody does something, even though you don't think you didn't know that was going to happen, you have to say yes and be cool with it, and then move with him. If Jeff decides to take the band in a certain direction because something inspired him to do that, even though I didn't see it, I have to trust him that he had that inspiration. We go with it after the show. We go, that work?
Yeah, you talk about after.
And that's
you don't want to battle it.
That's unique about this show is the process of. Call them notes in the theater, but the ability to really talk about something afterwards and say it worked and be okay with it if it didn't work.
There's no reason to hang on to anything negative. It's like I said at a recent event. There are no mistakes in art. There are no mistakes in music. There are only new discoveries.
Right.
Some discoveries work better than others.
And we've been doing this a real long time now, and there's still stuff we just. Do everyone's kind of used to each other playing, but sometimes there's still fresh ideas, whether it's a mistake or on purpose. That's like, whoa, it's done. I mean, many shows later. So that's what's cool about the show.
How long have each of you been a part of this, and how long has that group that I saw as a unit been together? And I know there's some interchangeability because the show is live 7 nights a week, and So in essence, how long has that group been together? For a while?
Well, there's a bunch of us who came out to Vegas to open this show.
So it was
Okay.
like
13
13 years. So we've been
that
doing that.
long, wow.
We've been playing together for 13 and a half years.
Wow.
Which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
When you really think about it.
Most bands and marriages don't last that long. I mean,
Exactly.
really.
And for shows, just stuff like that, musician thing, yeah, it's kind of like unheard of, but it's awesome.
We've had some new blood come in and some guys move on and some, people come in and out. But what's I think most unique about this show, and as far as gaining the perspective of playing with each other, is we switch positions. So
I was
yes,
wondering
yes,
about
yes, right,
that.
yeah.
So on any
That's
given-
cool.
So you came to the show the other night. Jeff was playing the
Drum kit, yeah.
I was playing one of the standing percussion rigs, and Jason McEnroe was playing the other standing percussion rig.
Right.
Are you working Friday?
No.
Okay.
See, I'm off.
So on Friday, I'm playing kit.
Okay.
And then it'll be 2 other people on percussion. So we have this unique vantage point of watching someone else do something we know intimately and getting inspired by it.
By their own flavor and
Yeah,
spin
because
on it.
Jeff
Yeah.
played a number of things the other night. I just got back from a vacation. Jeff played a number of things the other night, and I was like,
Dude's been practicing.
No, not even that. It's just like it's just stuff that was inspiring, you
Yeah.
know. And it was
Yeah.
just like he said, every once in a while something comes up, and I was just like, I hadn't thought of that. So I'm actually excited to go play kit on Friday in that respect.
Steal my idea.
And steals ideas, basically.
This is good. That's what you could do.
But it's inspiring.
Yeah, yeah,
You
you
have
do that
somebody
stuff,
else coming on this
Yeah.
position that you just played, and then you get to hear somebody else's take on it. And it's this cyclical thing that makes the gig never get boring.
I was going to say, to be a part of something for so long and to play the gig so often, it must be a big factor in keeping it fresh for you guys as musicians, which of course impacts the personality of the show itself and helps it always be a fresh, exciting
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah, and it's cool because another perspective is like we get to watch from out front sometimes. Like if we're not say
That's
playing the
cool.
show, you watch, and then you could hear sometimes what really reads
Right.
and what might not read.
Right.
So you get that perspective too. Then it's cool to see from the audience because you're like, wow, this is really
Yeah.
cool.
And from the audience vantage point, you've got to go to one of these shows, whether you're in Berlin or Las Vegas, wherever you're at. And I know a couple guys that play in the Berlin show, actually. They're part of Playmobil. I think you and I might have talked about that.
We did
when
talk
met.
about that's right, yeah.
Yeah, they're in the band Playmobil. It would be David Pash, and Chris Heine.
Oh, okay.
And they're in Berlin, and
Nice.
together with Andy Bueller, they
Okay.
make up another band called Playmobil.
Oh,
And
nice.
I could see how what you do, and again, one of my questions was going to be, how do you individually keep your chops up for your own playing? I don't know if I could think of anything that you would need besides doing this gig, period. But there's just so much that goes into it, and being that you do revolve around the different positions is really cool. What is rehearsal like? I mean, once you develop a show, do you still rehearse the show, or do you just perform the show all the time? That's part one. Part two is, do you start rehearsing another show while you're still performing show A, and they say, okay, now we're going to be doing this show in 3 months. Do you start rehearsing that while you're, and if you can't answer that, because I understand that some of it's confidential stuff, I totally respect that, and I'm
Yeah.
sure the audience will too, but I'm curious what your practice regiment's like, and if you rehearse a new coming show while you're still performing an existing show.
Anymore, we don't rehearse that much as a maintenance thing.
Unless there's a new member coming in.
Yeah, there's a new member coming in, or we're
Okay.
altering something in the show. Now, granted, this show in Vegas, this incarnation of the show at the Monte Carlo, is less than a year old. So we had a lot of rehearsals for this, especially going into it.
Right.
And even to a point where some of us were doing both, and then we split the band up, and a bunch of us were just dedicated to the tech of the new show.
While the other one
Everybody
was
else
going.
finished out the old one.
Gotcha.
Because after a while, it does become your brain's in two different places,
Sure.
and it's just a little too much to
Yeah.
commit to. There's also the level to it that you rehearse a bunch, but the show is a unique experience even to perform.
Right.
And it's hard to recreate it in rehearsal.
Yeah, you kind of got to
You gotta
do it.
Yeah.
You could prep so much, and it's like, okay.
And then the
we're
rest of
going
it's
in.
up to the actual performance and personality of it. Always goes back to that, right?
Yeah, and then just understanding how it is to interact in that idiom, because you can't recreate what it feels like to be up there and be affected by
Right.
the Blue Men and what they're doing.
Right.
And you just can't recreate that in rehearsal room.
Right.
So that's why we said, to have those notes afterwards, talk about stuff afterwards. It's important because you do it and you have to be open to going, hey man, that didn't work.
Right. So when you first step in to a new show, Are there charts that you have to learn, or do you listen to a CD of everything that's been recorded? In a studio
Videos,
and
usually
like-
training
Okay.
videos. Yeah, you don't have to read it all.
Okay.
There's no really, I
It's
mean,
more like being in a rock band. It's like
it's like here's how it goes. Here's the
Yeah,
part.
go
Someone
for
can
it.
show you personally.
Yeah.
but then
Right.
show
That's
trains
cool.
people, or like here's the videos. Some of us have done
we
done
went to
training
New York
videos.
for this show and shot training videos.
Very cool.
And so it's like, then everyone gets the videos and like watches, and
Right.
there's updates, we talk about them, and then
How would you recommend a drummer or percussionist stretch their creative boundaries? And I ask you both as drummers and percussionists, and as drummers and percussionists who have had this great experience, that you're living through being part of Blue Man Group. I would think it prepares you to be able to give some nice tips for guys and girls who maybe you've been playing the same music for years and years, and you want to, okay, I need to get on top of my playing. I want to elevate, Like some people will start taking lessons again. Some people expose themselves to different music.
Yeah.
What about you guys? What would you recommend?
Well, a few different things. I have a lot of a bunch of us we have different stuff going on. Like I have a band I sing in, so that's just a different perspective. So
Right.
you're having you're singing, and then you got a band. You're just on the another another end of it. And then I've another band. A band's Tinnitus, another band called Uberschall that's with Vincent sat in with us before. It's like 3 drummers from the show, 2 guitars and bass. We've been doing it for like 12, 13 years. It's just all improvisation. We did a gig with Terry Bozzio at the Smith Center in town. He performed with us.
Yeah.
And that's playing, again, with 3 to 4 drummers.
Yeah.
And it's all improvisational. We've never rehearsed in 12 years. You just do it on the
love
spot.
that.
And you got to really, really listen. So, I mean, playing different styles, different recording in the studio, recording live, just being some form of entertainment, whether you're, involved and even like trying to plan stuff yourself, being the one that's organizing everything, to, playing drums, to guitar, to singing, to whatever. It's all good, and it all helps you.
Yeah, you're playing
with
as a drummer.
show.
Yeah. I think it all comes down to exposure,
Yeah, and you're in this case. I think for me, it's about exposing yourself to new things.
Right.
Whether it's new instruments, new ways of playing your own instrument. That's one of my favorite things about this guy. Is he will. I've seen him just turn things upside down and flip them over on stage just because it just hit him, and he goes, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, it's a new sound. And Blue Man Group is really about that. That's where the roots of the show are. That's why there's PVC instruments on stage.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right.
not your
Things like that. And
norm.
whether it's taking an instrument, playing it different, or listening to some music that somebody else likes and you just never really got it, but immersing yourself in it until it makes sense.
Yeah. And you can
Uh,
pull something from it to put in your toolbox.
Right,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you're honoring the fact that someone else recognizes this as a valid expression of art, and then you listen to it until you get it, and then it changes you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I've had a
yeah,
lot of that
yeah.
with in this band, because we sit in the dressing room before shows, and somebody bring in an iPod and put something in, and it'll be something I've never heard.
That's cool.
And to me, that's one of the best parts of the gig, not just playing with everybody, but having that opportunity, like you just like you were in high school.
Get turned on to other
You
people's
get turned on to other
music
people's
and
things,
stuff.
'cause when
Yeah,
you're-
it's always
when
that.
you're a grown adult and you're functioning in the world, like you're rarely sitting around hanging out just listening
To do
music,
that.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard to do.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a life to live and things to do, so we have that opportunity. It's really unique.
Yeah.
And it's great, like there's different styles amongst us.
Right.
We have a lot of similarities, but then Vince, has a lot of different background.
Yeah, I came from like a
jazz
background. I was actually trained in classical percussion for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have one guy who had a doctorate in classical percussion, and then the opposite end would be, I don't know who. There's guys who don't read a lick of music,
Right.
and it doesn't matter. It
Right.
just doesn't matter, because it's all about
Technical
playing.
ability, the flexibility that you talked
and
about,
not even
things like
technical
that.
ability. It's like, 'cause it's not everybody's like chops
Right.
monster or anything, because that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
Even though some of our stuff is hard, it's not what it's about. It's about
Right.
creating this collective,
Yeah.
So sort of raw
Yeah.
raw
energy, too.
ensemble that plays together, but with a certain veracity.
Very cool.
And real quick, and also in general for people, I think
Yeah.
play with if there's like open mics in your hometown, play with
Yeah.
good musicians or better than you, even, and different styles or the same style, just as many as you can play with it and go,
Yeah.
because that's a way to meet people,
Yeah.
and just play with,
out
and you
play.
get inspired, even if, you might not be on the level they are. If you could just watch them or they let you sit in, great.
Yeah. I find it, as a drummer personally, I played with the same setup for about 33 years
Wow.
till recently, and it's a pretty big setup. And about 7 months ago, I changed that setup, and about 3 weeks ago, I completely changed it again. And I lately, personally, feel like I have found the setup that's just right for me, ergonomically and everything.
Sure.
And it really made me wonder, how on earth did I do what I did on this other kit for so long when
For
this other
decades.
setup is just so natural and comfortable? There was no adaptability time or anything. It was really weird. So I think that's important for drummers to do too. Take some stuff from over here, put it over here, and just, if you did that with the piano, you couldn't do it. You couldn't mix up the octaves, and you couldn't move the valves and buttons
That'd be a
around on a
nightmare.
saxophone. Yeah, but with drums, you can't do that, and it does expand your creativity, I think, and help your ambidexterity and things like that.
Yeah, it forces a different approach.
And it also forces you to not be on autopilot with music that you've been playing for a long time, and makes you pay attention and actually play. Hey guys, thanks so much for coming
Thanks,
on Drum
man.
Talk TV and sharing, all of your experience, your knowledge. And that's what the show is about, is that not all drum lessons happen at the practice pad or behind a drum kit. They happen by listening with an open mind to discussions like these and hearing from other people's perspectives based on their unique experiences. And you certainly have been living a unique music experience for like 13 years together, and I'm so happy that you came on and shared those things, and it's really cool. Awesome.
Oh, thanks. Happy to do it.
Yeah,
It's
thanks for
awesome.
having us.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank
We'll
you.
have you again sometime. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Keep watching Drum Talk TV.
Definitely.
All of Blue Man Group's information is right here magically on the screen. Follow them. Go to a show near you. If there's no show near you, make some travel plans. You've got to catch this show. Be inspired. Rock out. Shake your thing. And we'll see you on the next Drum Talk TV episode. Thanks.
Later.